nerds! Welcome to Love and Everblood. It's your first day at a magical academy and you're immediately swept away by a hot goth wizard who turns out to be a childhood friend who you have some history with. Will romance bloom between you, or will tragedy overwhelm you? You're just gonna have to find out. A few weeks ago, you managed to get yourself accepted to the Everblood Academy for sorcery. How pleasant. In the days leading up to class, you packed your entire life into a couple of suitcases. Mom was more than happy about your acceptance. So much so that your old bedroom was revamped into a guest bedroom. Gone were all the cracks in the walls, the questionable heater, and the hard bed painted over with money your mother claimed to never have. Yeah, you know when you're not wanted. You're not that dumb. At least it's a win-win for you and your mom. Everblood Academy is located high in Diamond Ridge, mostly because if a magical mishap occurs, it'll at least be contained to this isolated wasteland. You've never seen snow before. You'll have to get used to it here. After a long carriage ride, you're dropped off at one of the dormitory halls. The building is adorned with stone arches, golden statues, even a few balconies for some of the suites. Perfect for jumping off! What the hell? You're greeted by cold air that prickles your entire body. You feel all of your hair spiking up like a cat's. Still, the cold can't stifle your excitement at the fact that I'm finally here! Rude much? Anyways, aside from the little interruption, you are stupid excited. Like a puppy when they see their beloved owner. You calm yourself down a bit. Wouldn't want to gush over the gilded statues with a bunch of rich kids around. For the most part, you don't know rich kids to be the nicest people. Sure, they don't go out of their way to humiliate you, but you can't help but think they look at you like some poor puppy. Hell, even the one well-off person you liked was kinda like that. He always seemed to overcompensate for something. Really want to get a good look around here. Sadly, I'm too carriage lagged. Ugh. Well, there's always tomorrow to explore a bit. There's nothing more you need to do today. You have all your stuff, you have your schedule. All that good registration stuff was done before this wondrous day. You lug your luggage up the stairs of the residence hall, grateful for how little you have. So it would be quite the disservice to call this place a residence hall. It's a whole-ass castle, for God's sake. Might not be a castle to some of those wealthy kids, but it sure is to you. Thinking about rich people makes you think about that friend you had a few years back. It was probably the closest to wealth you'd ever gotten to. Even then, the cashmere turtlenecks and wool coats weren't much compared to those massive halls. The good old days. Damn, I'm too young to be getting all nostalgic. Haven't seen that guy ever since the move. Wonder how he's doing now. As soon as you reach your room, you flop on the luxurious bed, not even bothering to unpack. You can wait a day or two. As you sleep, the thoughts of your old friend drift to the back of your mind. Well. You wake up to a brand new day. At that, your very first day at the academy. Rise and shine. You're gonna have a great day today. You wake up, practically jump out of bed, throw your flannel on, brush your teeth, shove textbooks into your pockets. Because what prospective mage doesn't shove random stuff into their infinite pockets? Then you rush the hell out the door, even though you're not late. In contrast with how happy you feel, it's gray, cold, and gloomy outside. You're not used to seeing this much snow and ice outside, but you'll adjust eventually. The warmest piece of clothing you have is a flannel jacket. Yeah, that's not gonna do jack here, but it's better than going out in t-shirt and shorts. No, I just need to find where my first class is. Where the heck did I put my timetable? Aha! Got it! Looks like my first class is... Hexing 201? Room 505. Great Tower. You look around and see a massive tower looming in the distance. No way in hell that's not the Great Tower! You rush over to the massive tower, snowflakes stinging your flushed face. True, you don't need to run. That's why you woke up 2 hours before classes. But there's always a chance you get lost, arrive to class late, and make a shitty first impression. Then you're gonna have to do even more to gain the respect of others. You had your time for punking out in high school. Now's the time to get serious. Alright, I'm here at the inferior tower. Well, the signs never lie. And here you are, about to wallow in your misery. At least I got my daily run in. Guess that's one way to cope with the time and energy you wasted. Given the fact that the grandiose tower is called the inferior tower, you see no reason why the stout tower should be the great tower. So you run in the direction of the petite tower. As you enter the stout tower, you realize why it's called the great tower. What this tower lacks in height, it makes for up in girth. Girth? Girth, right? Girth. Oh, airiness. Yeah. Not a single soul is in here with you. Now, maybe it's because of how early you woke up. Still doesn't make it feel less eerie. At least you're gonna be the first student to class. Back at your old magic school, you were pretty notorious for being a complete mess. Most thought it was because you were some kind of punk, but you really just had no clue what the hell you were doing. But this is a new start for you, a chance to finally become the electricity mage you've always wanted to be. You slow your pace down a bit, wouldn't want to be caught running in the halls. After all, that will give us the impression that you're some kind of punk. Not to mention that you'd look rather silly, tripping on the icy ground. And I immediately trip. You pause. The clacking of what you think are heels continues. Looks like you're not the only one here. Probably a professor. Come on, Adrian, make a good first impression on the professor. You straighten your posture as much as possible, then pull out some books from your pockets. Gotta look as studious as possible. As the footsteps draw closer and closer, you expect the sight of a stern professor. Much to your surprise, however... Hello there! A tall, young man glides by, clad in an all-black ensemble. You will be my love interest! A dark coat is draped over his shoulders, flowing behind him with his fast pace. He almost doesn't notice you, his cold, purple eyes glued to a book. He swerves out of the way, like he somehow knows where everything and everyone in the hall is. Notice me! When he passes, you feel a chill run down your spine, like he's an apparition going through you. Notice me, senpai! The clack of small heels creates an unwavering pulse in the hollow halls. Slowly, the beat fades out as he walks away. I will make him notice me. He almost reminds me of... No. That can't be right. What would the odds even be for us to meet again? The spontaneity of it and the man's apathetic look are enough to convince you that you were hallucinating. You haven't had any energy potions today. Maybe you need a small dose to stop yourself from having visions of pretty dudes. Or maybe I need to get the pretty dudes to notice me. You slowly make your way to room 505, the man's presence still lingering in your mind. You can't quite put your finger on why you're so fixated on him. Yeah, you've seen many pretty guys before, but this one seems to have ensnared you in his gaze. Alright, I'm not gonna begin daydreaming in class about him. I've got better things to do, like him! I'm making a good first impression. And him! You sit your ass down in the second row. Too close to the front, and the professor's gonna watch you like a hawk. Not to mention that you're gonna isolate yourself from the rest of the class. Too far back and everyone's gonna think you're a bad apple. Yeah, you know that this is some bullshit high school logic that should have been left the moment you entered college. But you sometimes wonder if other people are stuck in this high school mindset like you are. You're not about to delve into the psyche of teenagers suddenly turning into adults, though. You'll save that for later. For now, it's time to open up the lovely textbook yet to buy for an arm and a leg. Hexing for Dumbasses Volume 2. You skim through a couple of pages for what you think is a few minutes. Its hold on you is so strong that it probably hexed you the minute you opened it. It's practical as hell for your shitty attention span, but at the same time, it screws with your time perception. Bro's got ADHD. Before you know it, the entire class has trickled into the room. You hear them chattering about random stuff. Stuff about boys, girls, how hot the teaching assistant is, all the good normal Magic College stuff. Or Magic High School, for that matter. No matter how much you tell yourself you're in college, you still feel like you're fresh out of high school. Especially since you still need to be at the command of others. You perk up when a booming voice announces, "Good morning, Hexing 201, Section X. I'm Professor Incendio, and I'll be teaching you how to use all kinds of hexes. Nasty ones, nice ones, even ones to summon demons." For some reason, the look of Professor Incendio reminds you of Dad. Well, not even your dad specifically, just generic dad. Whatever the hell a generic dad is supposed to be anyway. You hear students chattering in hushed tones. Like, "We should summon a demon! Ask it to make us look hot!" Oh, hell no, Millie. Terrible idea. You're a loss. Professor Incendio makes note of the chattering students, placing his wand to his jaw as he continues. "Settle down, class." Voice enhancements. What lovely things they are. You hear a high-pitched ringing in your ears. But everyone shuts up. Now, where were we? Ah, right. I want you all to meet your TA. Professor Incendio beckons over to a tall young man. His eyes look to be glued to his tall heeled boots. Wait a damn minute, it's that guy again! I'm going to be screwing the teaching assistant? So I'm not going batshit insane! The man beside Professor Incendio stands in silence for a bit, like he's assessing the rest of the students. He finally opens his mouth. My name is Oliver Cypress. I'll be your TA for the semester, as Professor Incendio stated. I am a junior plot mage, so you can come to me with questions about your classes or potential career paths. You can't quite put a finger on how to describe his voice. The closest comparison can make is to snow. Cold, but soft. Something about that name rings a bell. Like I've seen it in another game. Cypress. Oliver Cypress. Where have I heard that name before? You hear some of the female students and male students tittering a bit. Looks like this Oliver guy was the subject of those discussions about the hot TA. His face remains statuesque as he looks over the students until he reaches you. He holds his gaze for a bit. You can't read what he's thinking. Does he think I'm hot? As the two of you lock eyes, you try to poke through your memories to determine the source of this familiarity. You think you can see hints of perplexion in his face too. But the moment is so brief that you don't get to think on it for too long. Oliver resumes his commanding presence, almost like he did begin staring at you for a bit. Oliver conjures a large stack of fat packets, a small flower at the top of the pile. You wonder where the flower came from. His general presence makes you think he's an ice, wind, or water mage. He quickly brushes the blossom off and distributes the papers with what you're pretty sure is a levitation spell. Sometimes you think it will be more efficient to just do things manually. But this is an exception. The packets divide up into an array, such that they're above each and every desk. Most of your attempts with levitation magic aren't this uniform and perfect. Usually they end with someone being smacked in the face. Your face, mostly. As you look at Oliver, he's not even breaking a sweat. Heck, he didn't even pull out a wand for this. He releases the papers, all of them falling onto the desk with a loud, uniform thud. You look at the paper. Seems like a quiz. You hear moaning and groaning throughout the room. This is just a little quiz to get an idea of where you stand with regards to hexing. It's not going to count towards your final grade, however, so it's fine if you do horribly. Won't count towards the final grade, huh? So, you can all begin now. You hear the scritches and scratches of pencil against paper. You turn towards the first page. Wait a second. The hell's an Amovius hex? As you flip through the paper, you find all kinds of stuff you either don't know or have a vague memory of. Well, Professor Incendio did mention that this wouldn't make an impact on the final grade. Plus, I don't think he'd think I'm a punk for not knowing half of this. Should I just give up on most of these questions? Maybe I have more time to read over the textbook after class. No. Hell no. Let's not give up. You try your best on each and every question, thinking hard for the trickier ones. One by one, students trickle out of the classroom, turning their quizzes in at the front desk. Before you know it, you're one of the few students left. Your feet tap anxiously against the floor as you near the end of the quiz. And done. Quiz in hand, you walk up to the front desk and place the packet on top of the others. Right by Oliver. He's marking the quizzes down with a fountain pen, complete with blood red ink. Looks like this quiz was an absolute bloodbath. You rush back to your desk, pack your stuff up, and go, making sure to wish Professor Incendio a good day. You could have sworn that through the corner of your eye, you saw a hint of amusement in Oliver's face, probably thanks to the quizzes. By the time you enter the hallway, you're still trying to dissect Oliver's face. What was he thinking when he looked through the quizzes, when he saw you? Wait a sec. Wait, why am I paying so much attention to him? You initially think it's because he's hot as hell. But that doesn't make sense. Plenty of guys at this academy are hot. None of them have enchanted you like this one. Then you think that he placed a hex on you. Thing is that there's no way he could have placed a hex that strong on me, right? The one thing that stays constant in your thoughts is familiarity. I swear that I've seen that guy somewhere before. You're about to run up to who knows where until you realize your shoelace is untied. Yeah, okay, hello, heels. Oh no, I am at crotch level. Oh shit. Is this where I give you the Gluck Gluck 9000? I didn't even hear him approach me. Oliver absolutely towers over you. Alright, maybe not absolutely. You're on the ground for God's sake. Am I in trouble or something? Am I about to get myself in trouble? That's the only thing that could explain Oliver's grim expression. Do you mind if I speak with you? Sure. He begins to walk away. Looks like when he asked, do you mind, he really meant it that way. Hold on, I don't mind! Oliver stops in his tracks, then turns back to you. He doesn't say a peep for a long moment. Almost like he didn't have a clue on how to start this conversation. Your name is Adrian Volz, correct? Yeah? Something glimmers in his face. I knew you looked familiar. Sorry, if this is coming from nowhere. The stutter in his voice feels so different from his voice during class. Sounds like the icicles on his tongue are melting. I was thinking the same thing. You blurt out without thinking. You're about to retract it when... It's just that. Your face, your name, your mannerisms, they're familiar. Then I thought you were someone I knew long ago. Oliver stares off into nowhere. I know that this is strange, to say the least. It is. It's strange that we're both thinking the same thing. When did you know this person? 5 years ago. You reach back into your memories. You did have a friend back then, a pretty close one. We knew each other from elementary school. They'd visit my house almost every single day. We did what children were meant to do, just exist without the weight of age. That friend was whisked away to God knows where by their parents, right? But they had a pretty good last day together. Eating at places, probably pissing their parents off, all the good stuff. That day, the last day you were in libretto state. It was the best and worst day of your life. You made the most of it, thanks to your friend. But that was the first day you had ever felt such a crushing dread. Dread that you'd never see that friend again. Until today. Something clicks in both of your heads as you bounce the memories off of each other. Somehow, both of your recollections line up perfectly. It all confirms what you were thinking. I thought I'd never... You cut each other off. Nice going! Oliver breaks the silence after a few seconds. You go first. Dad, never thought I'd see you again! What are the odds we end up at the same school? I almost didn't recognize you at first. You look so different. The same could be said for you, Adrian. When did you dye your hair? Didn't expect you to notice. I did this Prisma hex a few weeks ago. Mom was pissed for days, but eventually, she wanted her hair done too. Suits you. You changed a lot more than I did, though. Where'd the glasses go? They never left. He pulls nothing off his face, only for a pair of round glasses to materialize in his hands. I just learned how to hide them. He puts the glasses back onto his face, reapplying the invisibility hex. Back when the two of you were in high school, Oliver was a scrawny little guy. Not that you were much better. Somewhere between the time you moved and right now, puberty hit him like a truck. Oliver, do you want to grab some food with me? I know that I could use a bite. Only if I pay. Now! And here it comes, Oliver's overcompensation. Yep, that's Oliver. Same guy you knew at 14. Some things really don't change. It's only the polite thing to do, seeing as how I initiated this conversation in the first place. But I suggested we go grab food. And I scared the ever-loving shit out of you. I owe you. Therefore, I'll pay. Hold up! The food here costs money? I thought that was part of the meal plan. Well, I was thinking of somewhere a bit nicer to eat than the food halls. You think back to how your classmates fawned over him. Yeah, most guys would kill for that sort of attention. Maybe even you would. Still, you know that Oliver's never been that type of guy. Besides, wouldn't want this hangout to be ruined by some jerks. Alright, let's get going then. The two of you rush out the stout Great Tower. The two of you chat on the way to wherever Oliver wanted to eat. You notice that he stays the heck away from large crowds of people, burying his face in a scarf whenever approaching. Thankfully for him at least, the heavy snowfall has dissuaded the majority of the school from staying outside for too long. Oliver seems completely unbothered by the cold, even if his face is slightly flushed. While you struggle to walk, he almost levitates above the snow. He leaves shallow footprints behind. Oliver, are you sure you're not some kind of ice or wind mage? You're pretty sure that ice and wind magic are common on his mother's side of the family. So it's not like your predictions are coming from bumfrick nowhere. You pick up your pace, hoping to warm up a bit. How was it in Los Pecadores? It was pretty similar to what I remember from Libretto City. Just much, much hotter. Don't think I've ever seen it snow like this. I'd be more concerned if that were the case in Los Pecadores. That would be the result of a rogue ice mage. Unless you were in some region of high altitude, but you live near the coast, right? Yep. Sadly, I don't think I could go swimming here. That would be a horrible idea. I do not know which fraternity did this, but they had some activity involving diving into a frozen river. Most of the people involved wound up in the hospital wing. Everyone was in such terrible shape that a restriction hex was placed on almost all bodies of water on campus. Sheesh, here I was thinking the hazings at my old school were bad. Come to think of it, I doubt that the fraternity was doing the hazing ritual. Someone said something about it being normal activity. Didn't you say you're a junior mage? How do you not know about the fraternity's shenanigans? The closest I've ever gotten to a fraternity was the Honor Society. I see. I might join a fraternity if I'm sure my classes won't be too hard. When you do, just tell me if they ever violate school policies. Can't snitch on the Brotherhood. You were smart enough to know when you're in danger, though, right? Oh, hell yeah! So, when you're initiated, you'll run away if they make you eat a frog? What's wrong with eating frogs? They're delicious! You're taken back to that time when Oliver's father made dinner. All I remember was tasty, scrumptious frog legs. Would you be fine with living frogs? Oh, hell no. I'm not eating a frog if it hasn't been croaked. Oliver smiles and nods his head at you. Then the two of you continue walking, and walking, and walking through the deep snow. So, we've been walking for how long now? Almost there. Where are we going? Somewhere. That is not an answer. I think you might like something from where we're going to. All right, Oliver. I'm trusting you not to screw up my taste buds. The two of you continue chattering away about random stuff, like the school's campus. For some reason, you expected there to be much more structure to the campus. In the sense that you thought there would be fences, pathways, signs, all the good stuff. Here you are, though, out and about with Oliver Cypress, in the middle of a peaceful forest. It's too nice for a first day at college. The two of you arrive at a small cafe. Oliver, being the absolute gentleman he is, holds the door open for you. It's so warm in the cafe they can feel the snow on your clothing melt off. But it's not so hot to the point where you want to strip on the spot. Must be some damn good fire magic. Do you mind finding a seat for us? I have something to do. It should be quick. Not a problem. Oliver walks towards the front counter, where a young woman stands. Meanwhile, you have free range of the cafe. There's almost no one here at this time. You opt for a seat near the windows. It offers quite a scenic view. Makes you feel like one of those rich kids in a mountain chateau. Once staring out the window gets boring, you turn your gaze towards Oliver. Due to the distinct lack of people, you easily make out the conversation. Hey, Oliver. Morning, Emma. How has everything been for you at the cafe? Everything's been going amazingly. The cafe's been doing much better than I thought. Now, as for you, you're usually not here so late. What brings you here past 7 in the morning? I have something for you. He sifts through his pockets. You don't know how much is in there, but it's enough that it takes Oliver a good while to find whatever he needs. Here. The bag is neatly folded, complete with a fancy wax seal. Oh, Oliver, you didn't have to. How much time did you spend on this? Don't worry about it. Come on, I've got to pay you back somehow. You haven't a clue as to whether or not the blend is good yet. Well, you never made anything that makes anyone vomit their guts out. Still, that's the bare minimum for coffee. If a blend is making everyone vomit, there is something seriously wrong with the plants. Perhaps something went wrong with cultivating the plants, or maybe I messed up a step. Or maybe the entire water supply is contaminated and it's an issue much, much larger than just a few coffee plants. And Oliver pauses while Emma stares at him. Sorry, I've really got to stop doing that. No, it's fine. Kind of funny hearing you list the stuff out. Anyway, I owe you one. Alright, someone I'd like to introduce you to. Oliver looks over to where you're sitting at. You scurry over to the counter, taking care not to bump the tables. Hey, name's Adrian. Nice to meet you. I'm Emma. Never seen you around here before. Just arrived here yesterday. That explains it. Well then, hope you've been liking it here so far. Thanks. It's been amazing so far. And only after one class. So, Emma, since you want to pay me back, do you mind giving Adrian some recommendations on what to eat? What are you in the mood for, Adrian? Breakfast or lunch? Lunch. Guess that I'll get some lunch. In that case, I know exactly what to give you. And you, Oliver? Want the usual? Now, how did you know? Barista's intuition. I'll be paying for Adrian and myself. Oliver hands Emma several glimmering coins, which she puts into the cash register. She then rushes to prepare the food and coffee. In the meantime, you and Oliver wait by the counter. I didn't even know that you had more friends. Didn't expect that, did you? You remember back when he only had you? Sure, some people might think of this as ditching you for other people, but you're happy for him. How could you not be? I always thought that eventually you'd wind up popular with the ladies. You're getting ahead of yourself here. Order's ready. Oliver retrieves the food and coffee. You then escort him over to the seats you picked out. As you sit, he slips his coat off and drapes it over the back of the chair. Oliver begins to sip his hot coffee. You never understood his coffee obsession. The closest thing you can think of is that it's similar to your energy potions. Still, you don't know how he drinks it so plain. Then again, you also know how much he hates energy potions. This is pretty good. You speak in between bites. Huh? You realize that Oliver hasn't removed his silky gloves. Cold hands? I just like keeping them on. Even while eating crummy stuff? You motion towards the little sandwich on his plate. And he just levitates it towards his mouth. You almost forgot he could just do that. Ah, shucks. Thought I had you there. Oliver's face contorts to a slight smirk. Or instead of magic, I could just use silverware. Oh, hell no. You're not about to eat that with a fork, are you? First off, my gloves would get ruined if I ate the sandwich with my hands. Second, there's no difference between eating with silverware and hands. They both get the job done. And lastly, it's just how my mother taught me. Proper form or something along those lines. Yeah, I think I remember her. And how hoity-toity she was back when you'd visit Oliver. She'd always mockingly refer to you as Oliver's little friend, even after you told her your name. Adrian isn't too difficult to pronounce, and even if it was, she never bothered trying. Speak of which, how is she? You think nothing of the question. Fairly mundane how's the weather type stuff. Clearly, this isn't all that mundane for him. She's in a much better place now. Oh, sheesh! Well, you asked. He answered. And at least, Oliver seems to trust you enough with this information, even after all this time. Don't feel so bad. I'll get over it. Besides, this is not my first time dealing with something of the sort. You've got to be lying right now, right? No one just gets over this kind of shit that quickly. Some people never get over it, in fact. How's everything been for your family? Ever since the move and all? You could tell that he's trying to steer the conversation away from stuff about his mother. Huh. My family. Remember that you'd sometimes send a bird to mail stuff to Oliver. You'd never get any confirmation that he'd actually received the letters, though. I mean, I'm not in the mood to talk about it now, but you know from the stuff I've sent you in the past. Wait, you've sent me mail? Yeah, I just sorta, kinda thought... I just thought you'd move on from me. No, that's not... Oliver rests his face in his hands. I never even knew that you tried to get into contact with me. Oh. For some time, it's completely silent between the two of you. Oliver looks like he's thinking about something. You can hear whispers of cursing. No, not magical cursing. Cursing as in fuck, shit, crap, fucking bitch, that kind of cursing. Then it stops. Adrian, I'm sorry that I never wrote to you. It's alright, I mean, you didn't even know about the mail. Doesn't excuse the fact I'd even bothered trying to contact you. Hey, it's not that big of a deal. Is it though? For some time it was. The thought of him moving on without you. That was pretty sad for a considerable amount of time. Oliver. Hey, Oliver. It's okay. Really, it is. You take his hand into yours. I'll make it up to you. Somehow. Oliver. Probably his only trait you find annoying. This desperation to make up for something, no matter how trivial. He could break your pen, then try to revive your dead sister to make up for it. Alright, wanna know how you can make it up to me? Don't do anything. I'm serious. In all honesty, the fact that you're hanging out with me at all is enough. You are the reason why we're hanging out again, after all. You know that I'm unable to just do nothing. Huh. Seems persistent. You whip up the simplest thing he could do for you, just to ease his nerves. Kiss me! In that case, I want you to hang out with me for the rest of the year. I am the new kid, after all. Wouldn't want me to be lost in the system. Of course. You smile at Oliver. Why is he so sad? The two of you finish up eating. Oliver gathers the plates up and returns them to the front counter. He then slips his heavy coat on over his shoulders. Next thing you know, you're back outside. On the way back to the academy, you realize that Oliver's walking in pure silence. You almost want to attribute it to the biting air, but you wonder if the conversation in the cafe has anything to do with it. You can't tell what he's thinking. Hey, Oliver, you okay there? He jolts out of his trance. You were just zoning out a bit. Sorry. I just have something on my mind. You want to tell him that you're here to listen, but you also know that you don't have the right to prod further into his life. After escorting Adrian back to the academy and providing him with some more company, you retreated to your dormitory. You sit at your desk, then gaze out the massive window. White snowflakes drift from the inky sky. It's the perfect backdrop for drafting Professor Incendio's lesson plans. You've always had a love-hate relationship with winter. It's a beautiful season despite the death at every corner. You know that all too well. You feel the wind whispering in your ears. That is not just the wind! You feel her whispering in your ears. This isn't any normal wind. It stings. You can barely make out any words. You, me, apart. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Goodness, not this again. Looks like the ceiling hex didn't work all too well. With him, left me. I thought you were out of my life! Never. You. Me. Forever. You close the curtains. So much for getting some air in the room. This is the first time she's wind whispered to you in a while. Why now, of all times? Of course, that's a trivial question once you think about it for more than a second. You might be a freaking idiot, but you're not that dense. I know you're out there. Somewhere. I won't let you take those I love away from me! Never again. Even after pulling the velvet curtain shut, cold air seeps into the room. You can hear her angry whispers outside. You huddle a bit closer to the fireplace. She's pissed, like always. Some things never change, do they? That's his mom, ain't it? And yeah, I'm definitely saving. Anyway, that was episode 1 of Love and Everblood. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to play this for yourselves, link to the game will be in the description below. And we will be back once episode 2 releases. From what I see so far, it seems that Lemonade does want to return to some of their other projects before coming back to this. And I'm really excited. I know I've not played the Cardinal Park case yet. I will get to that soon. Soon. I swear. I swear. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.